Hi everyone, I'm your friendly librarian Anya O'Connor, and I'm here today to answer some frequently asked questions about disseminating your scholarly project to your community. This video will cover adding your scholarly project to the Belmont Digital Repository, or BDR, where to start if you'd like to publish your project, and finally ideas for disseminating your project beyond publication. This video has a ton of information. Feel free to skip to the questions that are the most relevant to you and your project, and reach out to me if there's a question you have after viewing this video. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. The Belmont Digital Repository, or BDR, is a collection of scholarly, research, and creative works produced by Belmont faculty, students, and staff. Students in the graduate nursing programs at Belmont have added their scholarly projects to the BDR for many years. So why do we ask that you add your project to the BDR? There are a few reasons. First, the BDR will act as an archive for your project and give you a stable link that you can share. Second, adding your work to the BDR makes it discoverable through Google Scholar, so other people can find, use, and even cite your research. You will even have access to metrics, so you can see how and where people have used your work. Finally, by going through the process of signing a copyright agreement and adding your project to the BDR, you gain valuable knowledge and experience that will be helpful should you ever publish your work. Other than a few rare exceptions, adding your work to the BDR should not affect your future publications. You can self-submit to the BDR at a time that is convenient for you. First, go to repository.belmont.edu and create an account by clicking My Account and then Sign Up. Once you've created your account, click Submit Research on the left-hand side of the page and then select DNP Scholarly Projects. Read through the preliminary instructions and make sure you print, sign, and scan as a PDF the Copyright Distribution Agreement. Then you'll fill in your metadata with the title, author, abstract, etc., and upload your work and the Copyright Distribution Agreement. Then you are ready to submit. Your author rights are based in the copyright you have over your scholarly project. Copyright is a federal law that protects the rights of authors over their original works. You do not have to register for copyright. It is automatic and happens regardless of official publication or presentation. As the copyright owner of your scholarly project, you have the exclusive right to reproduce, distribute, publicly present, or prepare a derivative work from your project. If you decide to publish your scholarly project, your author rights will be even more important as you prepare to sign a publishing agreement. Don't transfer your rights away, and be wary of giving publishers exclusive rights over your work. If you are planning to publish your work, you can talk to a librarian or legal counsel for more information on publishing agreements. Completing a scholarly project is not easy, and while there is no 100% foolproof way to prevent copyright infringement, there are some steps you can take to protect yourself. First, make sure that the metadata you create for your scholarly project in the BDR is current and up to date. You may want to add a permanent email other than your Belmont email, or make updates if your name or affiliation changes. If someone who wants to use your work cannot locate or contact you, it may make it more likely that they will use your work without proper attribution. Second, if you plan on publishing your work, make sure to choose a reputable journal that will help protect you from copyright infringement. You can talk to a librarian or use a tool like Think, Check, Submit for help finding the right journal. And finally, if you are concerned that your work might be used without your permission, try Googling a unique phrase or sentence from your scholarly project. Put the sentence in quotes and Google it to see if it appears anywhere else other than your project. Keep in mind that facts, raw data, and even some of the tables and charts you create are usually not copyrightable, so these may be used and show up in a Google search without seeking your permission. There are a few ways you can protect yourself from inadvertent copyright infringement. The simplest and most important method is correct attribution through citation. Make sure to check your citations carefully, and when in doubt, always err on the side of citing. You can even run your project through a free plagiarism detector, like Grammarly, to ensure you haven't accidentally forgotten to cite something. There are situations where you may have to go beyond citation to get the proper permission to use a resource. This is particularly true of certain scales for measuring outcomes. For example, the Comprehensive Assessment of Student Stress, or CAS scale, requires an extra payment to get permission to use the scale for publication. Always double-check the scales or measures or indexes you use to ensure you have received the proper permissions, and ask a librarian if you aren't sure. It is also best practice to seek permission to use an image or figure that is included in a copyrighted work. This is true whether you simply add your work to the BDR, choose to publish your work, or use an image or figure in a public presentation. Some journals will have directions on how to seek permission for reuse, and you can reach out directly to the corresponding author. Ask a librarian for help if you aren't sure if you need permission to use something from a copyrighted work. Not all works you find will be copyrighted. Some works, most notably those published before 1928, and works created by the U.S. federal government, are in the public domain and are free to use without obtaining any permission. Many images in government databases, such as the Public Health Image Library, are actually in the public domain, and you could use them without getting permission. While it can seem overwhelming to know how to properly seek permission to use a copyrighted work, know that there are lots of resources for you. I have listed a few here. Feel free to pause and write any of these down, or send me an email if you have questions. Publishing your scholarly project is an exciting prospect. By publishing, you help add to the academic conversation and could potentially contribute to wider policy decisions. The publishing process is slow and can take many months to complete. You will begin by selecting a few journals to submit your work to. Faculty members, librarians, journal suggesters, and even your own citations can help you decide on target journals for your work. Once you have selected a journal, you will find their submission instructions. Make sure that your work conforms to their aims, scope, word count, and citation instructions. Then you will submit your work. If your work is accepted by an editor, it will be sent to peer reviewers. These reviewers will determine if your work is accepted, accepted with revisions, or not accepted. A pro tip: it is pretty rare for your work to be accepted without any revisions, so don't be surprised or upset if you are asked to make additional edits, even major edits, before your work is accepted. After the peer review process is complete, you can expect your accepted work to be published. This is where you will sign a publishing agreement and make final decisions about aspects like open access publishing and author rights. If you are interested in publishing your work, I highly recommend connecting with a faculty member or librarian to get more information about the publishing process. There are lots of ways to share the results of your scholarly project beyond publication. By adding your work to the BDR, you make it accessible and usable for many more people. Here are some other ways I recommend to disseminate your work. A great place to start is social media. You can absolutely share the BDR link you receive on a professional platform like LinkedIn, or even an academic social media tool like ResearchGate. Sharing your work on social media can help tie it back to you and help you locate others who may be interested in completing similar work. If you choose to share your work on social media, I recommend creating a 2 or 3 sentence highlight reel of your work. Keep in mind, most people will read only a few sentences before continuing their scrolling. You can also share your work at local, regional, or national conferences. This could include giving a poster presentation, a brief quote-unquote lightning talk, or a longer, more formal presentation. Keep in mind that the same rules about images, figures, and scales apply in presentations, so make sure you are getting the proper permissions. Graphs, charts, tables, and data are usually not copyrighted, but it is best practice to give proper citation to the person who created them in your presentation. You may also have the opportunity to disseminate your work at your institution, your hospital or clinical setting, or with other stakeholders. To share your work, consider your audience and what they need to know. For example, you may consider converting your data and key findings into an infographic to give to stakeholders with limited time for a presentation. You can always get help when you have questions. Contact a librarian if you have any additional questions about copyright, the BDR, or how best to share your scholarly project.